Good afternoon. Welcome to the normal meeting of the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Thank you. We remember those who were called upon to give all a person can give, and we remember those who were prepared to make that sacrifice if it were demanded of them in the line of duty, though it never was. Most of all, we remember the devotion and gallantry of all, gallantry with which all of those ennobled their nation as they became champions of a noble cause. So welcome here on Veterans Day. It's good to see such a good crowd, and I think you're in for an interesting program. So thank you. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The four-way test: is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today's song is Rick, wherever he is. Or no, Rebecca.
I'm not doing the song.
Oh, the invocation.
Don't scare me. Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy women and men who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them for their unselfish service and the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifice they made, for their many different contributions to America's victory over tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them. We pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. Amen.
Amen. Now we can have the song, and Mr. Lemley will.
On your tables, there are song sheets, and in light of this being in acknowledgement of the veterans, let's sing number 1, America. Where's Keith? Where's Keith? Who's going to lead us? He's not here. Okay. Ready? My country is of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims bright. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. We'll just go one verse.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any visiting Rotarians here today? Louis?
I have here today Charles Yosling from the Anacortes Fidalgo Club in Jewelry. If many of you may have known him as Charles on Fairhaven. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks, Louis.
Welcome, Charles. Any other visiting Rotarians? Do we have any guests of Rotarians today?
I have my 2 kids here today. I have Haynes and Nash, who are both students at Big Lake and are joining us for the program.
Welcome, Hayes and Nash.
Stand up. This is Rick Bailey. He is my new deputy director at Helping Hands. He's also a veteran. He is getting ready to retire after 40 years in the active duty Air Force and Air National Guard.
Thank you for your service.
I got my wife Sylvia here today. She wanted to hear our veterans speeches.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Sylvia. Welcome. Any other guests of Rotarians? Terry, are you ready to introduce the students of the month?
Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. And first off, I always start this, and this is true to my heart. This is my absolute favorite day of the month for Rotary. And so I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and recognize our amazing students. I did get a request to take my mask off so you guys could hear me better. So I'm going to do that at this time. Okay. We are thrilled to present our two students of the month at Sedro Woolley High School. Our first student of the month is Nora Albayati. She is the daughter of Ayim Kaizim of Sedro Woolley. Nora maintains a 3.2 GPA while being actively involved at our high school. She is a member of the Sedro Woolley High School Book Club and Earth Club. Not only is she a high school student, but she also attends our Northwest Career and Technical Academy. She has officially finished her dental program and is now a registered dental assistant. Nora has taken intense coursework at Sedro Woolley High School, including advanced Spanish, English, and obtaining 3 credits in the Arabic language. Outside of school, Nora enjoys working out at the gym, exploring new places here in the lovely Pacific Northwest, reading self-help books, hanging out with her family and friends, and learning how to cook. She has previously held positions working as a family friend for a waiter and a cashier. Nora used to live in the Middle East and was able to explore her Arab culture while living there. During her time there, she was enrolled in a Middle Eastern school and was able to study 3 years in Iraq. Nora is fluent in Arabic and was nominated as a first-rated student in the city where she lived in. We are thrilled to have her as our student of the month, and at this time, I'd like to have her come to the microphone and share her plans after graduation.
Hi, so my name is Nora. I'm looking forward to go to University of Washington, or University of Oregon to study biology and psychology. I'm looking forward to being the pre-dental pathway. I want to become a dentist or orthodontist in the future, and that's it.
And Nora, will you also share with us who's with you here today?
And this is my mom, and her name is Ayam Kizam. Sorry.
Our second student of the month is Jacob Jefferson. He is the son of Ryan and Christina Jefferson of Sedro Woolley. Jacob maintains a 4.0 GPA while being actively involved at our high school. He's been a member of the soccer team 4 years in running, while also leading the team as captain for 2 years. He's a member of our tennis team also for 4 years, and a member of the swim team currently 2 years and on. Jacob is a member of our National Honor Society for 3 years, and a member of our Varsity and Volunteerism Club for 4 years. Jacob has earned many department awards in classes like Spanish, English, history, science, business, auto, and finance. He has also participated in FFA for 2 years. Outside of school, Jacob enjoys traveling, mountain biking, camping, playing volleyball, and meeting new people from all different places in the world. Jacob has held employment positions such as selling livestock for 4-H, RNA construction, managing concrete, and Gateway Automotive, helping with oil changes and brake inspections. At this time, I'd like to have Jacob present who's here with him today and also his plans after graduation.
Here with me today is my mom, Christina, and my dad, Ryan. After graduation, I plan on going to college to get a degree in Spanish and some sort of pre-medicine like biochemistry, in hopes of becoming a doctor, and my thoughts of being anesthesia, and traveling South America and doing medicine.
Thank you so much. We're so proud of Jacob and Nora.
Congratulations to Nora and Jacob and their parents. You guys have done a wonderful job of raising two outstanding students that we're very proud of here in Sedro Woolley. So thank you for coming. So some club business. I sent out an email. The board met on Tuesday night and came to some things that we were going to recommend to the full club, but because it was only 2 days, we decided to postpone the vote on this until next Thursday. If you've got a comment on any of those items, please let myself or the board members know if you have any concerns or want to make some additions or so on and so forth. Those of you who have had an opportunity to look at, do we have any questions about any of the items and what they might be or anything like that? So we don't have many large projects on the horizon this year. Our monies are a little bit down, but we had a kind of a big uplifting. Danny found us a whole bunch of money right towards the end. I don't know if she twisted arms or something, I don't know. But anyway, so we had money that we didn't expect to have, so we're able to fund a lot of the things that had been kind of hanging around for several years, and hopefully it'll all work out really well. So if there's no questions, next Thursday we'll be voting on the recommendations. The next item that I wanted to ask is, there's been a question and I wondered what the consensus of the group was on having meetings on December 23rd and December 30th. So if those who would prefer not to have meetings on those days, could you please raise your hand? Okay. How many would prefer to have meetings on those days? Yeah, how many abstentions were there? Okay, or how many would like to meet on December 23rd, not the 30th, or vice versa? So we'll make a decision and let you know. Next Thursday, after the evening after the meeting, there will be a bingo. Sheena's done a stellar job as usual to put that together. Mike Janicki has volunteered to make the spaghetti sauce, and there'll be spaghetti sauce, salad, drinks, and a lot of fun playing bingo and a chance to win a little bit of money. So please plan on coming, and if you could let Sheena know if you're coming, that would be great, so we can get an idea on how much food to have here. So any questions about that, you can contact Sheena and she'll let you. The Christmas party set for December 4th. There's some announcements over here, cards you can pick up. They won't be mailed out. So if there are people that are not coming to the meeting, but you think might want to come to the Christmas party, please let them know. It's on December 4th, and I think it starts at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Yeah, and we'll be trying to raise money, and we've done very well in the past for the food bank or bring food. It's kind of the price of admission. I think on the tables you will have two new prospective members, Dan McElraith from the Sedro Woolley Police Department and Frank Wagner from the Sedro Woolley Fire Department. So this is the first reading of those two prospective new members. Silent items, I'll say it again, let's please get them in. I know Sheena's team has done, I think she's got the whole team's allocation is in already. No? 70%. So that's far ahead of most of the other groups. So good for them. On a sad note, Mike Moser just indicated to me, and many of you know her, Pat Grenfell, who has been a real fixture here, not only at our club, but in all the Rotary around the Skagit County and the Northwest, passed away this week, Mike? Yeah, this week. And so there'll probably be more announcements about, but she was just a wonderful, wonderful lady. And so keep her in your prayers. So So with that, is any other announcements? Anyone have anything they'd like to say or ask? Okay. With that, then I guess we can go to the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay, spin that wheel. One. Past presidents paid $5.
Sue, what did that say?
Number 40. And number 2.
That it? Sergeant at Arms.
Okay, for those of you that have birthdays and anniversaries that weren't here last week, be $2 for birthdays, $3 for anniversaries. I'm not going to read off your names. You're supposed to know when your birthday and your anniversary is. Can we have all of you men and women that are veterans to stand, please? Thank you to all of you. It's a great thing that you've provided for this country. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Tried to do some research on November, but yeah, it's no fun. For those of you that are not veterans, we're just going to pay $2 a piece and give those veterans more time to get on with their program. So, no, you're not paying, Louis.
Hey, Rick. Happy bucks too.
Are there happy bucks since you got your wallets out? Nobody happy with the holidays coming? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I have a happy 20 for Jacob and Nora. Congratulations once again. And then I also have, and this is a pay it forward 20. So next Thursday, I'm not going to be here. I apologize. I'll be in Tennessee to watch my daughter swim. Just hoping to see her one time swim in Tennessee. And so that's next Thursday. But our FFA nursery landscape team will be here presenting how they did at nationals. And so Jerry Grisham, our CT director, will be here. So it's a happy 20 in advance for that group. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mark.
I've got a happy 20 for the students of the month, but in particular, the Jefferson family. So when I was a principal at the Lyman, Jacob was one of my students and he kept me busy. But he's a really good student, as you can tell, 4.0. And Christina was the president of our booster club, and Ryan, his dad, was really instrumental in getting us fiber optics up the valley there so we could do all this testing online and things we need to do and have our computers work and not get bogged down with all the stuff we had to do. So anyway, good job.
I got a happy 5. There was a football game this past weekend. I was pretty happy with the result. If you don't know what game I'm talking about, you can come ask me after the meeting.
It's up to you now, Rich.
Christmas tree. Okay. I've just been asked, Paula called in and would like me to remind everyone that there's the Christmas tree lighting on December 4th, which will just be, you just come to the Christmas tree lighting and then head on over here to the Rotary Christmas party. So please attend the lighting the Christmas tree downtown December 4th. What time? Well, we'll find out what time between now and then. Okay, it's time for early leavers. If anyone is going to wander out, now is the time. Otherwise, we'll call on our who's going to announce the program, Rick? Me? Oh, okay. Today, we're honored to have 4 of our veterans talk about their experiences serving our country. And so without further ado, I don't know who wants to go first. I see Rebecca there. Would you like to lead us off? Okay, so Rebecca Skinby.
Thank you for being here today. I know every veteran can sit around and probably talk for hours and hours and hours about all their experiences. So I try to narrow it down to 3 things that I learned the most my time. I was in the United States Air Force for 11 years. I was a E6, a non-commissioned tech sergeant, so enlisted. My career was with pilots. So my job was to handle their pay and their safety and their training. And I was lucky enough to be assigned to a fighter unit in Alaska. And that's when kind of the most exciting things happened for me. We went to Saudi Arabia twice. We went to Turkey. We went to all over the world, even this small little country called Diego Garcia, which my husband's like, show me where that is on a map. It's about a dot on a map, but one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. I came from Mount Vernon, grew up here. I am the youngest. I have 4 older brothers. So there's probably years and years and years that nobody ever heard me talk. And so when I went into the military, I did it because I could not see myself doing anything else. I felt it was a calling. I did go to college at Skagit. I was a jock and had a scholarship to play softball. But for some reason, I was always called to do something for my country, my community. So my first day in basic training, and this is one of my lessons I learned. It started day 1. My TI, my drill instructor, who I talked to even today, took one look at me and said, okay, you're in charge of everybody. And I was like, I've never been in charge of anything in my entire life. I can't keep track of 50 women from all over the country. And he said, you'll do great. And he called me Seattle, because if you're from Washington, you're really just from Seattle. So I just remember him yelling that name at 2 o'clock in the morning a lot of times. I would say it in his voice, but it's really loud. I don't want to hurt anybody. But I had a relationship with him where he really mentored me. We were his last basic training flight before he retired. So he wanted to pass on some really good lessons. And he just felt like there's natural born leaders, and he saw something in me. And I have taken that through my whole time. I was promoted very, very fast. In 11 years, I was getting ready to be promoted to E7, but then I ended up getting out of the military because they wanted to take me away from my 3-year-old son for a year. And I just felt like as soon as I had him, that was my calling. So that's why I ended up getting out. So my first lesson was leadership, and you don't have to be someone that's a natural, like you just look like a leader. You can be the shyest, quietest, smallest person and be a natural born leader. So as leaders, we look at those people and our job is to mentor and coach them. My second lesson was we were in an F-15 unit. We didn't fly very far. So we would go into countries like Italy during Bosnia, and we were dropping bombs, and we actually shot some MiGs down, and that was hard on the pilots, and watching them come back and doing the things that they're trained to do, but not always do they get to do what they get to do. And one time a pilot got so close to getting shot down, he could read the label on the weapon that basically went up beside him, and he was so scared. I've never seen anybody scared like that before. And they grounded him for a couple of weeks so he could kind of get his head straight, and he came back, and I still talk to him to this day. He's a pastor and a state patrol in Maine. Is one of the most amazing men I've ever met in my life. And I said, so what happened? What was your thoughts in that moment? And his first thoughts were family. It wasn't himself. It wasn't the airplane. Those are expensive airplanes. His first thought was his wife and his kids, that they weren't going to see him again. He taught me that there's, even when there's service before self, you can think about, and you're fighting for your country, but you're also fighting for families and loved ones. And at that moment is when I was trying to decide if I stayed in or not, and how my family became my first thought at that point, and not necessarily my country. So that was more of a personal thing that I learned from him. The third thing that I learned was what service before self really means. I had a really blessed career. I walked in going, I have no idea what I want to be. They wanted me to be an aircraft mechanic when my scores were like 1 out of 100 on my ASVAB scores. I'm like, no, but I'm going to do the Air Force a favor and not be an F-16 crew chief. So I went into basic training with no job, and I literally opened up the catalog and just picked that one. And it ended up being one of the best careers that an enlisted person could do, because my boss was the commander. So I went from me to the commander. There was a lot of things that I got to do and see, and awards I got, and medals that I got awarded, because I was right on the front lines with those F-15 pilots. And when you talk about what lessons you learned, was we also lost pilots. I've lost friends. I loved sitting there talking about with them. And when we lose a person that you have, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they talk about, we had this pilot named NASA. He wanted to be an astronaut. He was the man. Not only did he get a 4.0 in high school, but at the Air Force Academy, and he was just the next, Neil Armstrong. And he passed away. He was shot down. And you think about that as these amazing people that lose their life serving their country for what? And then you think about, well, for what? My grandparents were immigrants to this country, and they were Nazi in Nazi Holland, and they had nothing and no opportunity and nothing to do. And here we're sitting fighting for our country. So everybody can have opportunities in America. And it really taught me obviously a long list, and is service before self. Service to your country and your community has to be a priority if you're going to live here. And hence the reason why I'm the executive director of the food bank, because I take that every single day. I do my job. I say excellence, service before self, and all that I do. So I know I'm kind of rambling, but I did have one really fun experience, which is a once in a lifetime thing. Is in Alaska. I was awarded the non-commissioner officer of the year for Anchorage, Elmendorf. And they said, well, what do you want as a reward? And a colonel, his name was Colonel Goldfein, his brother was the General Goldfein, who was in charge of the Air Force. And they gave me a ride in an F-15 over the Grand Canyon, and I still have the picture. And I thought in my mind, I'm not gonna do it because I'm like super airsick. I look at a plane, I throw up. Well, that cured me because I literally threw up the whole entire time. But when I'm in that room and they say, oh, what is the one thing about you that you got to do? I got to throw up in the back of an F-15 over the Grand Canyon. So thank you. Do you guys have any? I think Lynn should go next. I'll just pick.
Lynn Tucker, please come forward.
Well, thanks for honoring veterans today. It's a pretty important thing for all of us to be doing and thinking about. I've got several veterans working for me. I have one deployed right now. One of our police officers is in Guantanamo Bay. He's not, well, he's at Guantanamo Bay. How about we say it that way? But I got one working there, and I just got one back from a school. I lost him for a month to go to an E7 training school for the Air Force. But I guess my story, being in the military, starts way back in the late 1900s. I was in a little bitty town in northern Missouri, Newtown, Missouri, and I graduated from high school. I was the salutatorian. That's #2 in the class. That sounds really impressive when I say that, but there was only 6 of us in my class, so pretty good chance if I could read, so that met me in the top half of my class. But we grew up on a farm, don't really have a military history in my family background. My great uncle was a World War II vet, but he had to go and he never really spoke of it. And my grandfather on my mother's side, he was a foot soldier in World War II as well. Talked a little bit about that. And hadn't really thought about the military, just everybody went to the local college. So my friends and I went to the local college and really didn't know what I was going to do when I got there. So I chose to be a party major, and I was outstanding at that. I finished my college career in a year. That was all they needed me there for. And so I decided, well, maybe I need to go to graduate school for that. So I joined the Navy, and they just loaded us up an aircraft carrier and took us to different places to go do the same thing I did in college. But I had to wear a uniform when I was doing that. So, but really it was an interesting time trying to figure out what to do in life. I knew I didn't want to be a farmer. I spent enough summers on a tractor wishing I was anywhere else than a hayfield in northern Missouri, and wishing there were more clouds in the sky, which I moved here and got the clouds in the sky so I wouldn't be baking in the sunlight. Got to join the Navy and went to boot camp in Chicago, right outside of Chicago, and they call it Great Mistakes. And spent my first few months in the Navy at Great Lakes right at the beginning of winter, which was outstanding because I got to leave right as winter kicked in. It's kind of nice to escape. And then, of course, the Navy has a training base for people that go into the avionics field, which is what I ended up going into, which is, of course, in Memphis, Tennessee. Why wouldn't the Navy have a base in Memphis, Tennessee? And so I spent a year in Millington, Tennessee, and actually some of the best things in my life happened to me there. I had been dating Carla when I was in college, And we got married while I was graduating from one school to another. I had 1 week to drive my beat up Camaro home to Newtown, Missouri, about 8 hours away, and load up a wife and a U-Haul on the back of the Camaro and drive back to Millington, Tennessee. While we were stationed there, we had our oldest daughter, Tasha. So the Navy hospital did a good job of getting us a kid. Didn't really understand the medical or the, I guess what their thinking was is you hear about how much it costs to have a baby and all that. They gave me a bill for like $7 whenever I left with my wife and new baby. And I had to pay for feeding my wife while she was in the hospital. I guess those was the military. We know, why would you even ask the question why? I got a bill for $7. And the same thing happened whenever we had Kelly, whenever we were stationed out at Millington. But the other thing that happened that worked out so well for me when I was in the Navy is they said, you could pick anywhere you want to go in the world. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And someone says, hey, you know, the NES Whidbey Island is a great place. You can go hunting there. You can go fishing. The Pacific Northwest is just beautiful. So I said, sure, it's got to be different than Newtown, Missouri. And so I got sent here. And so loaded up wife and 5-week-old daughter in a wrecked Camaro by this time, because I'd crashed it once, and the same old U-Haul, and loaded up a bunch of really lousy furniture and drove out here in, I think I came out here in February of 80, well, it would have been February of 87. And my dad says, you know, you're driving that piece of crap car. You'll be lucky to live when you know, to get all the way across the United States. But me and the wife and the little one made it. And we never went back. We go back to visit the folks and family back in the Midwest. And we just decided we loved it out here. It got us where we're at now. While I was in the Navy, I deployed on an aircraft carrier a couple of times, a U.S. Ranger, and got to see the Pacific in all its glory. It was incredible. Here I was with a wife and a tiny child at home, and she was sad to see me go and all that. And I was so excited because I'm going on this aircraft carrier that's bigger than my hometown. Actually, it had about half as many people as the county that I'm from on board. And so loaded up on an aircraft carrier, went over, drove past Hawaii, didn't get to see Hawaii, but I got to go to Diego Garcia. You have a different view of Diego Garcia because you didn't show up with 10,000 other men. It was a little bit different thing for us. We stood on the beach shoulder to shoulder and drank beer and ate hamburgers. That was kind of my view of Diego Garcia. They said, don't go swimming very far out because you'll be eaten. Like, not really liking Diego Garcia so far. It is really pretty, but got to see Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand, got to go to Perth, Australia. I did end up going to Hawaii once and got very humbled by seeing the going into Pearl Harbor and steaming into Pearl Harbor. That was just impressive. Stood on the flight deck of the USS Ranger and got to steam past Battleship Row and the Arizona Memorial and all that. I've since gotten to go back there and see it from the dirt side, but incredible things. And I guess that's one of the things is the things that where the Navy has put me. I worked on airplanes. I worked on electronics. I don't remember a year or two ago, we had a pilot come in here from Whidbey talking about his job. He flew an EA-18 jamming aircraft. I worked on the things that he used to jam aircraft, which was kind of a cool thing that whenever our guys would go up, they would blast the bad guys' radar with the things that I got to work on. But really getting me and Carla and the kids out here and settled. I was on shore duty whenever a Desert Storm hit back in 1990. And so I was actually on shore duty and all of our planes were overseas doing Desert Storm. And we had really nothing to do down here at Whidbey. And I got involved in law enforcement. I was a reserve deputy for Island County, and a bunch of us that worked together all got together and worked at the sheriff's office. And that's what got me into the job that I'm doing now. I started working there, and then I was getting near my end of my enlistment. And somebody said, there's a little town that's looking for police officers, Sedro Woolley. So I went and applied, and they said, well, you're on the hiring list. So I got a chance to, or had to make a decision. Do I want to stay in the Navy or do I want to get out? And I didn't want to haul Carla and the kids off to some other state and do that. And a week after I got out of the Navy, they called me up and said, would you like to go to the police academy? And that was 1992, and here I am. So really the best things in my life all got started from, well, the party major thing, that kind of got everything started. But actually joining the Navy and getting me where I'm at now. And one of the things that really strikes me is living here is kind of like living where I came from. You know, getting up, saluting the flag, and just the kind of people that are here in Sedro Woolley are just the kind of people I want to be around. They're the ones that's here that you served in the military. They don't care what you did or where you did it or why you did it. They're proud to have you serve. And I like the people that I work with. I like the people that I serve here. And all of that got started from a 18-year-old kid who went to boot camp. And I was given some very good, and I guess I'll end with this. I was given some of the best military advice I was ever given by my crotchety old man. He said, just shut up, keep your head down, do what you're told, then you'll be fine. And I did that. I went to boot camp, I shut up, I kept my head down, and did what I was told. That worked well for the Navy and for being married as well. So I do both. But thank you all for the honor you give to all of us that have served. It does mean a lot to us, or at least to me and the folks I work with. It is an honor to have served, and I get back a whole lot more than I gave. That's it.
Thank you, Lynn. Can we call on Phil? Phil Mihalik.
Thank you. My experience is different than probably everybody else's. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a dentist. I've chosen not to work for the last 21 years. So this is, I have an outline. Why did I go into the Army? Well, I spent 8 years in higher ed right out of high school. I have a 4-year degree in chemistry from Sale University and a degree in dentistry from the University of Washington. And I was married 5 of those years, and I was a little burned out. I hadn't yet decided where and how I was going to practice. So I thought the Army would be like a nice vacation and give me time to practice and do some planning. So I did that. Number 2, my military basic training. None. I received a letter in the mail ordering me to be at Fort Knox, Kentucky on July 7th, 1975. We didn't have any money. I paid all 8 years by higher ed myself, working on the side. And anyway, Matt was 2 years old. I loaded up our old Plymouth Valiant. I had $500. We drove across the United States to Fort Knox, Kentucky. What was it like doing dentistry in the Army? It was just like here. We had a brand new clinic, top of the line equipment. We could do anything we wanted to do. We could do gold, crown and bridge, surgery, endodontics, all that stuff about crummy dentistry in the Army's bullshit, at least where I was. And it was a good experience. We had a lot of higher ed training. Every other Friday afternoon, we would have a speaker talk about higher ed. Once a month, we would have a dinner at the Officers Club, included drinks. They paid for everything. Everybody got to go to Walter Reed for a week once in their career.
And once a year, you got to train with a specialist that you chose to, and I chose oral surgery and pedodontics. My neighbor was a pedodontist, so I trained with John Kelly for 2 weeks. We also got to go on temporary duty if you could apply, and your colonel would sign it. And my colonel happened to be my golf partner, and he was an oral surgeon, so he always signed my temporary duties without any problem. So that was a little perk. What was home life? Well, we lived in a duplex, 3 duplexes shaped like that, and I didn't have to mow the lawn. The Army did it. We had nice people all around us. 3 of us were doctors. 1 was an attorney. The other 2 were West Pointers. It was a good deal. What were the perks? Well, medical, dental, everything. They paid for everything. They had a wonderful wood shop. They had 3 golf courses. There was an officer's course, which we played all the time. You also got every other Wednesday afternoon off for physical training, which meant 18 holes. So, well, because we didn't have the time to exercise like the enlisted people. In fact, when I first went in, I didn't know the difference between an enlisted person and an officer. I thought I enlisted, and they straightened me out on that. And I didn't know how to put a uniform on, and I learned was wearing my hat backwards. It was one of those soft ones, and I did kind of everything wrong, but I could fix teeth, and that's what mattered. What were the other perks? Oh, I played on the golf team with my colonel, the oral surgeon. We never lost a match, so I got every Wednesday afternoon off during the season. So what's my recommendation? I did not do what Louis did or Dan did, but it was a good 2 years of my life, and I don't regret one bit of it. And would I recommend the military? I would, for people that are kind of waffling, not sure what to do. I think they offer a lot of opportunity on every level. So for me, it was a good experience. And I'm glad I don't feel like a veteran, but nevertheless, I guess I am. Thank you very much.
Okay, Louis Requay's up.
Thank you, President Rich. I think I'll start out with how I wound up in the military. I graduated from Anacortes High School in '64 and went to the University of Washington and started a major in forest engineering. And lo and behold, I was asked by Coach Erickson, who was the coach of the rowing team, that according to what I'm looking at, he said, I think you'd make a good coxswain. So I decided to do that. And one of the things that happened in that first year was I didn't like chemistry very well, so I dropped that class. Then there was another class that I took, and I dropped that class. And little did I know that if you weren't going to graduate in 4 years on a 4-year curriculum, you lost your deferment. And what that means is you were subject to the draft. And this was 1965 and 66. And so the draft board from Mount Vernon sent me a letter and said, hey, you're not on schedule. And I said, yeah, so what? I didn't know what they were talking about. And they said, well, you lost your deferment. So if you don't go to summer school, we're going to send you a letter and draft you. Oh, thank you. I didn't tell them I was going to go because I didn't have any money to go to summer school. So I wound up going to work that summer. And then that fall, they called me up and said, well, you didn't go to summer school. Now you're subject for the drafts. And I said, don't worry about it. I already enlisted yesterday. So I went down to the Roosevelt Avenue and enlisted for 3 years in the U.S. Army. But I did want to get something that I kind of liked doing. And my major was forest engineering, which was, laying out timber sales and logging roads and bridges and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I'll get into surveying. So there was a curriculum in the Army called topographic mapping, surveying. And it was at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, where I went after basic training. Went through that. And lo and behold, they decided they were going to keep me there, send me to instructor training school for a few months. And then I actually taught topographic mapping and instrument repair at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Well, along about mid-1968, I got a calling from the CO, and he said, "You got orders for Vietnam. Pack your bags and go home." And that was late '68. I thought, well, what am I going to do over there? Well, they said, "You're going to go and you're going to work in the Mekong Delta, and you're going to be with the 66 Engineer Topographic." And what that is a mapping company that we did all of the surveying to remap the south third of Vietnam. And the mission was to do that because the French mapping that had already been done was so bad in previous years that our artillery outfits weren't even hitting their mark. So we did what was called first order triangulation of the entire south third of Vietnam. And we did the kind of surveying that you do at first order is at night. And we surveyed off of 110-foot towers that we built ourselves and to see over the jungle. And during the daytime, we did what was called third order surveying. And that was to do out aiming points for artillery outfits. And so that was pretty much what I did over there. Now on the table, really part of my speech has to do with, in 2019, I was asked by the city of Sedro Woolley to write an article about veterans. What I really want to get out is, when I was asked to write that article, I thought, well, what am I going to talk about? Or what am I going to write about? And they said, make it 500 words or less. And I think I did. But it seemed to me that Veterans Day was nothing more than somebody's holiday. So I wrote the article, and you can read it at your leisure. But the one thing that I wanted to get the point out was that Veterans Day should be as important as any other holiday or vacation day or whatever you call it, because there's a couple pictures in there. They asked me to give a couple pictures. And one of them is a picture I took of myself with a camera that was able to take my own picture. And when you look at that picture, I seen that look in a lot of my friends' buddies' eyes while we were in Vietnam. Because there was a lot of times when we were out in the middle of nowhere, and you really wondered what might take place. Well, the other picture shows how well we were prepared for whenever certain things went wrong and things bad happened. And I can tell you, I was well prepared. I had just about everything I could pack with me that I thought I would need to defend myself and my friends. And we didn't ever go looking for trouble. I wasn't in the infantry. I wasn't a grunt, they call them, or whatever it is. But if there ever was any problems that came our way, we were able to deal with it. And that did happen a few times, but I was lucky enough to make it through those events. And that forlorn look that you see in that other picture is the look of, I don't want to be here, and I want to go home, and I'm looking forward to leaving this place. And luckily, I was one of the lucky ones that made it. There was one story I need to tell that while we were in the Mekong Delta, a lot of times we got transported around by the Navy. And the Navy base at Mito was called a PBR base and a Swift boat base. Now, PBR boat is a patrol boat riverine, and they were built in Bellingham by Uniflight, and they were powered by Jacuzzi. Anyway, the first time I got on one of those boats and they took us around, I looked at the brass plate in the back of that and it said, built in Bellingham by Uniflight. And I told the captain, I know where that's at. I live just down the road. He didn't care. And, but there was one time when we were on an island, we had one of our towers on this island, and the only way to get there was transported by the Navy boys on the PBR boat. Well, we got done with all the work we had to do on that island, and we called up the Mito and told them to come pick us up. And this was like about 3 p.m. Well, one of the things that happened was we waited and waited, and they didn't show up. It started to get toward darkness, and we thought, well, it looks like we're going to be camped here another night. Well, then they showed up. So we got on the boat, and I said to the captain, boy, you know, it's going to be really dark. Are you going to know where you're going to go? And he said, we know everything about this river. Okay. So they put me on the bow of the boat, and they asked me if I knew how to operate a quad 50s. And I said, well, I fired one time. I think I can pull the trigger if I have to. And I had a foot locker, it's a big box, wooden box that had all our survey equipment in it. And I'm sitting on this box behind these quad 50s, and we're going up this river, and it gets dark. So I was getting a little nervous up there, and I yelled back at the captain. I said, you sure you know where you're going? And he barks back at me. He says, shut up, soldier. You're going to get us killed. Oh, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be saying that too loud. So we're going along. About 5 minutes later, the whole PBR boat suddenly stops at full tilt, and me and the footlocker went out in the river. Well, say the least, it's pitch dark. I don't hear the boat running, and I had a hold of the footlocker, and I'm kicking water, and I yelled up, help, help. And the captain says, shut up, soldier. You're going to get us killed. And by the way, stand up. I was in this much water. The PBR boat was stuck in the sand, in the muck. And we sat there all night until there was tidal influence in that part of the river. So when the tide finally came in, they forgot about the tidal influence because they were late picking us up. And the captain says, well, I guess I didn't really know where I was, what the deal was with the tide. And I said, well, I could have told you that. I grew up at Dewey Beach by Deception Pass. I could have told you about tidal influence. And he says, I don't want to hear it, soldier. So anyway, in the city scene in that article, what I want to leave you with is the fact that I had a few veteran or a few buddies over there that didn't quite make it out of there. And I think it's really important to all of us to know that Veterans Day should be celebrated in a way much like Christmas or Easter or any of the other holidays. It's pretty important to me, especially to those that didn't make it and the ones that did make it and fought for our country. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions of any of our speakers? Anyone? Well, thank you again for that. And I think that we owe a debt of gratitude and another round of applause, not only to our speakers, but all the other veterans that were here today. So if you'd join me. With that, thank you for Students of the Month, Jacob and Nora, for joining us. Hayes and Nash, thank you for being here. Sylvia, Rick, and thank you for coming. Charles, thank you for being here. And if anyone can help clean up or set up and put away the tables, we'd be appreciated. And we will see you all next Thursday.